Hey guys, so today we're going to try to put a stainless steel fuel cell into the back of this 62 C10. So the first thing I had to do was drill the rivets out of the frame of this cross member. There was one on each side up top and one on the bottom up underneath the frame. So that that's drilled out, I can put the fuel cell up on the jack and slide it underneath the truck, and hopefully it'll fit between the frame rails. This thing just slides out of here like that, and hopefully the fuel cell will fit in there, and I can set my angle iron on the side of the fuel cell and mark it so that I can weld the angle iron onto the fuel cell and bolt it up to the frame. Alright guys, so I'm not exactly sure where I left off with filming, but I got this tank set in the truck and was able to weld on the angle brackets that are going to hold it to the frame. Now what I've got is a piece of 2-inch exhaust tubing and a plate that I had burned on a laser, and I'm going to attempt to get this elbow lined up and cut down so that I have just enough clearance to get one of these bolts in, but this will be low enough to clear the bottom side of the bed. So I'm going to get some bolts put in here and make a couple lines and cut some things, and hopefully I don't have to buy another piece of pipe. And I'm not really sure where this is going to sit as far as where that's going to clock yet, but once I get this cut down, I will put the tank back in the truck and clock that piece of pipe so that it'll hopefully come out from underneath the truck bed into the fender, and then I'm going to have to get a piece of tubing or something to shoot it up into the fender to put a gas door on the fender. And these are stainless bolts, so I'm not going to run these in super tight because I don't want them to gall up and get stuck in there. So, yeah. Find a tape measure. So, if I remember right, I needed 3.5 inches to the top of this pipe. but I'd like to get it as low as possible so that I don't have to fight with the bed when I put this in. We're just going to mark it here and cut it, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully it'll slide in there. But if not, I have a feeling I'm going to have to open that hole up a little bit, or notch the pipe so I can get it to slide in there. Alright, just a quick update for you guys. So I've got the tank put in, which is what the time-lapse footage was, and then I stuck my filler neck piece in here. I ended up having to cut some more off the bottom of it, but then I went and I cut a piece of 1x to lay across the rails, and I took this 1x and I fiddled around with this filler neck until I can slide this board all the way up over the filler neck, and it clears, and I should have enough room to get a rubber hose on here to run this way out the side of the bed into the fender. Now I definitely don't have enough room. You can see the angle there, but what I don't have is enough room currently to snake that hose in, because that's going to end up coming out right about there. So I will end up having to cut all of this out of the bottom of the bed so that I can snake my filler hose through. But my ultimate goal here is to take that hose and run it, and then come out this hole right here, which is, I'm assuming, for a reverse light originally. And I'm not sure if I'm going to take and do a hidden filler neck, or if I'm just going to take the filler neck that was in the cab and stick it in there. Which I think it's actually right here. So I'm just going to either take this thing and weld it in and use it for my fill and just have it sit in here like this, or potentially put the reverse light back in and have it on a hinge so that it'll fold out and just be a hidden filler neck. But as for whatever I'm going to have the filler cap in, I also, besides the original filler, I also have the filler neck out of the 05 pickup that I tore down for the motor for this truck, which that should be going in here pretty quick, so you guys will get to see that. But that's kind of where I'm at for today. And it's probably about as far as I'm going to get for now until I get this filler neck taken in and TIG weld that all up. and hopefully I can polish that up and get all my hammer marks out of there. And ignore my hand, I'm trying to put you back on the tripod. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today. I got some other stuff I'll probably film and work on the truck. That's about as far as I can get with the gas tank. I guess I could show you guys the brackets, which brackets I made are down in here. The tank's held on with 3/8 grade 8 bolts on each side, and I made extra plates to reinforce the frame because where I drilled the holes was a little bit too close to the edge of the frame. But hopefully I'll have enough room to snake my fuel lines out. I had to trim the frame back here because the frame wrapped up in and was connected. So hopefully I can run my fuel lines through there, I can run my return in here, and I can have my feed come out there. I'm going to probably plug this one, and then I'll have to find a spot for a fuel pump, which will probably be up underneath the cab. So hopefully that's not too far away. I'm thinking about using a Bosch 0200, which is the new version, the Bosch 044 pump. And then I'll have an inline filter before that. Alright guys, so hopefully I didn't have that set to time lapse in the last clip, but since I'm about as far as I can go on this gas tank for today, I'm going to cover up all the holes, which are what the red rags are. I'm going to get in, and I'm going to wire wheel back these two, I guess, X braces, and I'm going to go try to get all the way over to this bracket, and that bracket on the top of the frame inside. And then I've got some of this rust encapsulator, which is right there, and I'm going to try to paint as much as that frame as I can. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a brake line right there that I'm going to have to disconnect. The line's busted anyways, so I should be able to pull that out of the frame. And wire wheel that spot up real good, disconnect that rubber hose, and paint that. Some stuff up there. So I'm going to switch the battery out of this thing, put it back on time lapse, and you guys can enjoy me making a giant dust cloud of the Alright, so I just wanted to show you guys, because I live up north, so to have a frame clean up to where there's barely any pitting and it's nice and smooth, that just doesn't happen up here. But the other thing I want to go over while we're in here is on this truck, originally it had one brake line that ran the whole length of the truck and came down the passenger side over here. So since I'm switching this to a hydro boost, I'm going to run the rear brakes down the driver's side. So I cut the brake line, which is back here, and I'm going to attempt to cut this bracket off and then weld it back over here so I can snake my brake line, my new one, through here and run my rubber hose over off onto the axle this way. And normally I would be concerned about the fact that this rubber line hooks up over here, but we're probably going to ditch this axle anyways because I have a Ford 9-inch that's going to go in here, and you can get way more gear options for that than you can for whatever this is. I think it's an Eaton EO32. You could maybe make the tag out. It looks like it's just rust. So I wouldn't be too concerned with the tag. But this shouldn't be too bad to get out of here anyways. Looks like it's just 2 U-bolts. I'll have to put that on my new axle. I'm going to get new shocks anyways. But yeah, I'm going to get back to it. I just figured I'd update you guys as to what's going on. And I'm going to try to set this up so I can show you me cutting this bracket off and getting it welded to the other side of the frame. Alright guys, so we got the bracket welded on. I'm hoping I caught it on camera, but I may or may not have accidentally lit myself on fire and did the fire dance underneath the truck. I'm pretty sure it's on here, so hopefully you guys get a kick out of that. But yeah, not some of the best welds that I've ever laid down, so they got the grinder treatment while I was putting the fire out. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get my chassis paint, and I'm going to paint this frame up where I've wire wheeled and welded, and then I think we might call it a day. But I'm not sure. I might be working on some other stuff. We'll see.